because that Lord of the Rings set is coming out, I've been rewatching Lord of the Rings. I read the books when I was really young. Here's some dev lore that's going to shock some of you. It's going to absolutely, you're get ready. Pick your mouth up off the floor. Because I have read the first 2 Lord of the Rings books. That's right. You see what I said there. I slipped it in. I have seen the first 2 Lord of the Rings movies. But I have never read nor watched the third Lord of the Rings thing. I've never seen Return of the King. I've never read Return of the King. Because I know what happens. It was I know what happens at the end. It was spoiled for me when I was in the middle of the second book. So I've never done it. I've never experienced in any way the third chapter of that. So we've watched both movies in the last like 4 nights. Something I've done to keep my mind off of stuff that's going on. So and I want to watch the third one. We're probably going to do it after stream at some point tonight. We'll watch it. But yeah, I've been watching Lord of the Rings and I'm struck a little bit. You don't know how it ends. Yes, I do. I know that it ends 5 different times, but I know, I know like the climax, you know, like the denouement, to use the most pretentious term I know. I'm excited to watch it, but I've been struck by how kind of like, the movies are. I remember watching the movies when I was like 16, something like that. I think I was like 16 when the first one came out. And I remember watching Fellowship especially and being like, this is amazing. Like, this is an incredible movie, dude. And I've seen Fellowship probably like 8 times, dude. I've seen Fellowship a lot. And I've seen Two Towers maybe like 4 times. Not as many, but 3 or 4, something like that. I think the time we watched it like a couple of nights ago was the 4th time I've seen that movie. But I've seen Fellowship like a lot, and I just remember being like super into it, like, oh, it's so awesome. But like, it's kind of not. It's fine. It's all right. You know, it's fine. You know the best part of they all bail and go out for ice cream. Yeah, that's what actually happens. That's the deleted scenes. Fellowship's my favorite. I hear that. I've been hearing that take as I look at like Reddit takes about Lord of the Rings the last couple of days. People really like Fellowship. And that's because the best part of Fellowship, I swear to God, is the first like 40 minutes of Fellowship. Really, the first like 15 minutes of Fellowship, where you meet Frodo and you meet Gandalf, you meet Bilbo, right? You meet like Sam a little bit, sort of. And Bilbo goes and he has his like whatever it is, 1100th, however they say it. 111th birthday party. And he puts on the ring and he sneaks back to the house, and Gandalf comes back and they have the conversation, and then he gives the ring to Frodo, and he comes back like, is it secret? Is it safe? Like, all of that is sick. It's all like really well written. It's really, really well shot, and the Shire looks awesome. Like, there's a shot towards the beginning of the movie where like Gandalf is being drawn by horse and carriage towards the Shire, and you see the Hobbit holes, and it just looks so good. It's a beautiful movie. It still is to this day. And like the first like 20 minutes are great. And then eventually they get to Rivendell, and like that's sick. And they form the Fellowship, and that's sick. It's pretty cool. They go to the mines, right? Eventually they end up in the mines of Moria, and they have the goblins battle with the cave troll, and like, oh, it's sick. It's also sick. And they have the Balrog comes in, and it's awesome. And you shall not pass, fly, you fools. It's so sick. It's all like good stuff, right? But like it's interspersed with kind of like not great things. Okay, so it's all good. All of those parts are good. And like, you know, where Bilbo wants the ring back from Frodo and Rivendell, and he's like, give it to me. Like that's it's like scary, you know what I mean? Like for a second it freaks you out. It's so good. However, okay, so the battles in this movie, and I don't really care actually that much about action, especially the older I get, but like the battles in this movie, dude, are not sequenced well, because if you really pay attention to the battle scenes, you have no clue what's going on. Except for like key shots where a very specific action is supposed to take place. Like in this shot, Legolas shoots the cave troll in the eye. Like, okay, yeah, well, I know what's going on there, but like the action scenes are interspersed with a bunch of just like nothing. It's like you can't even tell what's happening in this shot. Why did they waste 7 frames on this? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why they lined a camera up to show a guy kicking a guy. I'm not really sure, but like the battle scenes last a good like 3.5 to 5 minutes, especially the big epic ones. And there are, you know, close up, maybe 20 frame shots where you have absolutely no idea what the shot is attempting to depict. Like, it's not good a lot of the time, and the CGI is a little bit dated. However, the CGI that matters, like the big crowd shots, like that still looks okay. You know, it still looks fine. You know what I mean? I feel like they were really good at big crowds back then. Like we watched like 300 or the old Star Wars movies. I say the old Star Wars movies. I mean the prequels that came out in the late 90s. Huge crowds tend to look pretty good in those movies. I don't know how they rendered those so well. And then like normal CGI, like the cave troll, does not look great. Like Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone or whatever. Was the English name of it? The first book. It's like the CGI on the cave troll looks just awful in that movie. And it looks pretty bad in Fellowship too. But overall, like the main problem is the sequencing is just like terrible in battle scenes. It's not very good. Oh, and that goes to doubly even. The Moria scene is messy enough. Good Lord. But it's dark and you just can't tell what's going on. But even worse, dude, something that I remember being like super awesome the first time I saw it, and it's so lame now, is Gandalf v Saruman, like kind of towards the beginning of the movie, right? Where like Saruman beats Gandalf and starts torturing him and stuff. And then Gandalf ends up escaping on like a dragon and he flies away. But that whole scene is terrible. It is not good. For real. Yeah. Go back and watch this scene, dude. It's so bad. Like, it's, oh my God. It's just them with staffs going like, and like they fly back. And like, that's literally, it's 4.5 minutes of just like, jab my staff at you. And they go flying back. And it's just like, this is not, you had all the money in the world. And like, this is how wizards fight. This is stupid. I hated it like so much. It was not good. But there's fun stuff, you know. The actors are doing everything they can, not only with this dialogue, but like importantly, expressions. The expressions are off the charts. Like as much as I kind of, perhaps hot take, don't like Gimli. I just really don't like him. He is hilarious. Like he does a great job of wrestling terminology here. Selling. He's like the most expressive guy on set. He is every bit as expressive as Legolas is not. And Aragorn isn't very expressive either, to be honest, but Aragorn is cool. So whatever, you know what I mean? And like Galadriel's great. Like everyone's doing just a bang up job of doing what they can, right? They got the perfect dude to play Boromir. Like if you read the books, like, yeah, that guy's does what Boromir looks like. And he's doing a great job. Sam, dude, oh my God, Sean Astin is just like nailing it. Sean Astin is such an underrated actor. Like he's doing so much better than Elijah Wood even. Elijah Wood's job in the 2 movies that I've just rewatched is basically to look hurt. I got to give it to him because in the first like 20 minutes of the movie, he's dancing and he's happy and he's clapping Sam on the back like, have you asked Rosie out yet? And he's a happy little hobbit guy. And then like he does slowly degrade over time and look crappier and hunched over and he's like acting more and more like kind of Gollum-like and stressed and like he's doing a good job. He's Elijah Wood's good at what he does, but man, Sam, what an amazing character Samwise Gamgee is. And Sean Astin does great. It's a geezer fight. It's the two. What makes me so mad is that they do 4 minutes in a row of them just jabbing their staves and flinging each other across the room. And then later on in the movie, Saruman is casting a spell at the mountain. It's what forces them into Moria to begin with. Sort of. Let the ring bearer decide. And then he says, let's go through Moria. So. But Saruman's like casting a spell at the mountain and causing this avalanche and the storm and stuff. And you see this giant wide shot from Isengard looking at the mountain where there's just this giant funnel with like fire coming out of it and striking stuff. And it's like, where's that? Where we had a wizard battle. Where was that happen? What can't we do that? There's not even like a lightning bolt in the wizard battle at all. Like not even a little sparkle of a, bzz, you know, it's just like, two guys with sticks. It's so dumb. And then like later, oh, he can do that? Like, what are we doing? Anyway, Sam made it all happen. Yeah, Sam really is. Sam is wrong a lot, but he's also right. It's so weird. Like, is Sam wrong or right about Gollum? I think that Sam is objectively wrong about Gollum, right? Because like without Gollum, things would not have gone down the way that they went down. They probably wouldn't have even made it to Mount Doom without a guide in the first place. So like they needed Gollum. But if Sam had had his way, they'd have killed him. Like they'd have just killed Gollum like 5 times before they ever even got close to Mount Doom. So like, but at the same time, like Sam's right. He's, you know, like everything that Sam fears about Gollum is like kind of true. But at the same time, like I hate the Gollum storyline. I really do. Because again, I haven't seen the 3rd movie, but I know what happens. And it kind of makes it seem like ultimately Gollum isn't redeemable. People aren't redeemable once they have this taste of power. And I don't actually know how I feel about that. You know what I mean? Like but Frodo tasted that same amount of power. He's redeemable, but not for hundreds of years like Gollum did, I guess. I'm such a nerd. I'm sorry. But like I've struggled a little bit like ethically with whether or not Sam is like correct about Gollum. And I've also struggled ethically with what Tolkien was trying to say with the story of Gollum, right? Because if the idea is that like even if you appear redeemable, you're not redeemable with that amount of like when it comes to power, right? I don't know how I feel about that. I'd like to believe that people are, you know, but now we've gone into a whole philosophical arc and I don't really want to go down. So these are the real questions. We love it though. Gollum maybe was redeemable until he meets Gondor. Well, maybe. Until he meets the Gondorians. You think that's what the trigger? I don't know. I just think the trigger was the ring, right? Like that's the ultimately his lust for the ring, aka power, metaphorically, is what did him in. And I think that's a good lesson to teach. Like even good people, even well-meaning people, even someone that has a good person inside of them they want to let out, can be corrupted by power. And like that's a fine message, you know? So, but that's what you're trying to do with Frodo. Frodo also teaches you that lesson in a little, you know? So, I don't know. There's multiple ways of doing that. I always see it as power is self-destructive. Yeah, basically. Basically, it'll lead you down a self-destructive road. Chicken, do you have something to say? You're back there. She has opinions on the ring. We are 40 minutes into this stream, and we have mostly talked about Lord of the Rings. So maybe it will go on YouTube. It was fun. But I'm going to watch the Return of the King like tonight or tomorrow. Maybe I'll report back to you guys. I'm thinking about doing a YouTube video. Like, since I'll even maybe put this in the title of the video. Like, I rewatched Lord of the Rings because the Magic set's coming out. Or like some title along those lines. I think it might be like kind of good traffic-wise. It'll basically just be like a video essay review of those 3 movies. Not just from a Magic player's perspective, but from the perspective of someone watching them again for the first time in like 15 years, you know? So I think that might be a fun video to do, and it might also take forever and get demonetized. So we'll see if we do it, but I think it might be a fun project to do.